Live with Tao. Language is the choice, and with choice, problem comes in. Man is a social animal and he uses language. No other creature on earth uses the language. With language comes culture, comes civilization and society. And with language, choice enters, and with choice comes imbalance. No animal is imbalanced. Only man is imbalanced, and all animals exist in deep balance. Trees, rocks, everything. Everything is balanced except man. I have heard a Sufi story. There was a woodcutter. He was dumb. He was deaf. And a man was taking care of grazing his sheep. His wife will bring lunch during the lunch time, but one day she did not come for lunch. And he was hungry. So he went to the woodcutter and he told the woodcutter that you take care of my sheep. I am just going to pick up the lunch from home. Woodcutter was deaf, so he did not hear anything, but he nodded his head, and the man with the sheep thought that he agreed. He went home and picked up his lunch and came back. He found his sheep were intact, no problem whatsoever. So he had a lame sheep. He went to give it to the woodcutter in gratitude for his work. The woodcutter thought that this man is complaining, is that I am responsible for the lameness of the sheep. He continued to say, plead his case that I did not do anything with your sheep. And the poor man with sheep was out of gratitude, was giving him the sheep. No solution could be found because language was being used. Same time, a Sufi passed riding the horse. Seeing the argument, he stopped, but he had taken a vow to remain silent. So the woodcutter said that, sir, I have not done anything to this sheep, and this man is blaming me that I am responsible for this lame sheep, that I caused this. I am not responsible. I did not take care of anything. I did not do. I was simply busy cutting the wood. And the sheepman said that I want to give him this sheep as a gratitude from me, because I went home to pick up my lunch, and during that time he took care of the sheep. The Sufi listened to the two, but his problem was he has taken a vow to remain silent. So first he looked penetratingly at the woodcutter. So woodcutter got afraid. So he thought that the man is saying, go and do your work. So he went back and started cutting the tree. Then he looked at the man with the sheep penetratingly. He got also afraid, and he went back with his sheep to continue the sheep grazing. When the two parties dispersed, the Sufi rode the horse and went away. With silence, with his penetrating eyes, he solved the problem which language could not solve. Language creates choice, and with the choice, it creates imbalance. This is the problem. If I say that he is beautiful and he is ugly, the sentence carries no meaning. Ugly and beautiful together, what do you mean? If I say you are beautiful, it is meaningful. If I say you are ugly, that too is meaningful. But if I use the both, then if I say you are both, you are wise and foolish both, it cannot carry any meaning to you. But reality is like this. Really, no one is ugly and no one is beautiful. It is the perception. It is the perception. No one is ugly and no one is beautiful. Wherever beauty exists, ugliness exists. Day and night stay together. You cannot reject one of the other. They are part of one whole. If I say head and tail stay together, but your perception is either you are facing the head or facing the tail. And if you look at the coin from its edge, you can see both sides, but not clearly. So the head and tail are part of one whole coin. The coin is neither head nor tail. It is both. It depends on the perception from which side you are looking. Then you will say it is head and it is tail. But when you have to get something useful, you have to discard or reject both sides, head and tail. And wherever wisdom exists, foolishness follows. You cannot find a wise man who is not also a fool. That's why it is said for Lao Tse, he is wise fool. He looks a fool. When he talks, he is wise. It was said about Oliver Goldsmith that when someone dies, the grave is made, and on the grave an epitaph is put. So it was said what will be written on the epitaph of Oliver Goldsmith. So there was a young poet, David Garrick. He said he will write. And he wrote, here lies a man. He was an angel with pen in his hand. He was an angel with a pen in his hand and he talked like a poor Paul. He talked like a poor Paul, but he was an angel with pen in his hand simultaneously. It happens. So Lao Tse is wise fool. It may be difficult for you to conceive, because whenever you say this man is fool, you stop searching. You are closed. You have closed the door. But remember, whether you are inside or outside, door closes only on one side. If you are outside, door is closed from outside. If you are inside, door is closed from outside. And this is the only mechanism through which, if you are outside, you can go in. And if you are inside, you come out. But if someone by mischief closes the door from outside, you cannot come out. You are, the moment you choose one, you close the door, you say this man is fool. Now you are not going to search for his wisdom. But Lao Tse it is being said that Lao Tse is wise fool. And even if his wisdom is revealed to you, you will not listen to it. You will say this man is fool. How can he be wise? It is impossible. Something wrong has happened. He must have done it in a foolish way. Even if he talks about something wise, you will not take it seriously. That's why we do not take the children seriously. When you are trying to find a solution, and all of a sudden the children, you consider that innocent, and suddenly you are trying to find a solution and a child says something, you don't pay attention to it normally. It is impossible. Something wrong has happened. He must have done this in a foolish way. This is something maybe accidental. He cannot be a wise man because he is a fool. If you decide that this man is wise, then something foolish comes out of him. You cannot believe it, or you will have give explanation, and you will try to rationalize it, that there must be something significant in it. Life is both together, but language divides. Language is choice. Because of this, every culture creates its own choice patterns. In the East, they developed technology, they developed scientific researches, they developed all that is now developed in the West. 5,000 years ago, they developed everything and they felt the meaninglessness of it. As it is now felt in the West, they felt it was useless. When they felt it was useless, they turned to the opposite extreme. They said, now turn within. Whatsoever is without illusion, it leads nowhere. Turn within. So they start the outside. When 5,000 years ago, they developed astronomy and the deeper aspects of science, all that is mentioned in their scriptures. The science stopped growing. Then technology stopped. Not only it stopped, when they turned within, they started condemning it. All that was without. And the West took over that. Archimedes, the Newton's law of gravitation, it has been mentioned in 600 BC in the works of sage Kanad. But they discovered it, and when they turned with him, they considered it futile. Now, the Newton's law of gravitation law of gravitation is associated with Newton. No matter what you say that it was first discovered by Kanad, it will remain associated with Newton. So is the case with all the other ancient scientific developments. So they started condemning all that was without, just live the life which is within. Leave all that is without. They became against the world, they became life negative, denying all that was material. Only spiritual, the pure spiritual. This is imbalance. Life is a balance. You have to not reject anything, accept everything material, but it is said that everything, the four major aspects of Sanatan Sanskriti, Artha, Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. Dharma means righteousness or religion. Arth means material or finance. Kam means lust, sex. And then when these three are fulfilled, liberation happens on its own. So when you are looking for the material life or earning the wealth and everything, it has to be guided by the righteousness, right way of life, righteousness or religiosity. Not like a mad race trying to cheat this and that. No, within the domain of religion. Then comes Kam, which is, you can say in common language, sex, is an important part of religious development. It cannot be rejected, but you cannot go in the mad race for it. It has to be within the domain of religiosity or righteousness. Then the kind of fulfillment it gives you, that cannot come to you otherwise. And this is why it is said, my own understanding is, if a woman, her lover is a spiritual person, the kind of fulfillment she gets, she cannot get otherwise, leading the life otherwise. So fulfillment comes through the righteous way of earning money, righteous way of sex and everything. Everything, the earnings, the life should be within the domain of religiosity. Then you may not be rich, but you will be fulfilled. The man who is materialistic, completely rejecting the religiosity or righteousness, he may have money, but he is the most unhappy. The more money he has, the more unhappy in the same proportion his unhappiness, unfulfillment increases. If you are satiated within, you have lived your life in a righteous way. You may not have money, you will be satiated, and sex will give you a total fulfillment, not otherwise. Life is both. Really, to say life is both is not right. Life is one. Coin is one with two sides, head and tail. That which we call material is just one expression of the spiritual. And that which we call spiritual is nothing but also one dimension of the material. Head is one dimension of the coin, tail is another dimension of coin. The within and without are not opposite. They are two poles of existence, just as north and south pole, the positive and negative current, and when you go beyond the positive and negative current, only then there is transcendence, there is illumination. So positive and negative current is there, in between there is a bulb, and when the two sides are fulfilled, two requirements, the positive and negative are fulfilled, there is illumination. So when inner and outer life requirements are fulfilled, then comes illumination. That illumination is your satiation. If you are feeling satiated in life, you look at it. Both your inner and outer life is fulfilled. The outer life means the family, the children, the monetary aspects, all the other. And inner life, both are one. If I say one is positive pole, the other is negative pole, both are neutralized in one way. The moment they are neutralized, you are light unto yourself. And then your life will be illumined. And that illumination in life is your enlightenment in a way. The inner lamp is lit, and then everything will move according to that light. That light is your consciousness. Then all other will become an instrument. Consciousness or that light will become the software, and all other, whether it is the sex, the monetary aspects, they will remain as hardware. But this hardware is managed by the software of the light or consciousness or your awareness, as you may call it. But whenever a society reaches to the extreme of one choice, because one choice is bound to be extremists, immediately you will miss the other, and that which you will miss, you will feel more. That's why I have not asked you to reject anything. I had not asked you to reject the outer life. I did not ask you to reject. Be aware of the two lives. Be in the world, but not let the world be within you. Whatsoever is necessary. That which you have, you can forget. And that which you will miss, you will feel more. So in the East, at the peak of scientific and technological developments, they felt the absurdity of it. At times, out of ignorance, you feel that the satiation has come in. I have to reject the outer life. I have to reject the life of sex. I have to reject the life of money, nothing. As long as there is life, you cannot reject any aspect of that. So the East, when it was at the peak of scientific and technological developments, nearly 5,000 years ago, they felt the absurdity of it, its uselessness. You cannot attain silence through it. You can not attain bliss through it. So they threw it away. But the fact is this: the outside life makes the inner life comfortable for you. The outside life. If the outside aspect of life is fulfilled, you can sit down quietly and peacefully in meditation. Remember, when your outer life was in chaos, the family, then will you be able to meditate? You may pretend, you may say that I was meditating, but meditation was not happening. Now, when the outer life is fulfilled, your life, the family life, the monetary aspect is fulfilled, you can be meditative. Meditation will begin to happen to you. So this is what happened with the East. So you cannot attain silence through it. You cannot attain bliss through it. So throw it away. Renounce. Move forward. But ancient sages did not leave. They did not leave the inner. They continued to meditate. They continued the family relation. And they attained whatever was possible. And then inner movement automatically became a denial of the outer. In the West, this is happening now. Now the West has attained technological heights. Now they saw the meaningless in it. Now India has gone to the depth of poverty because they rejected the outer part for inner. It was bound to happen because the Eastern mind started moving inward, and when you move inward at the cost of the outer, without, you are going to be poor. You are going to be in bondage. You are going to be in disease and suffering. That is bound to be so. Now India is not interested in meditation. It is interested in the inner world. Is not interested in nirvana. Is interested in modern technology. The Indian student is interested in engineering, medical science. So the wheel has changed. The West is moving towards the inner after attaining. So this happens a cycle after a certain period of time. The Indian genius is going to the West to learn the know-how of the atomic energy, and the Western genius is interested in coming to the East to know what meditation is, to know how to move in the inner space. And they have achieved. For the first time in the history of the man, they have known how to move in the outer space. They have reached the moon. Now they have reached the moon. The thing has become absurd. If you create a balance between the two, the inner and outer, so you will never see the futility of it. You will never see the futility of anything. If you create a balance between, let's simple thing, the kitchen, you are renouncing. You said that I am fasting, I am not going to eat anything luxurious. So you started eating bare food. What will happen? The body will need the food. and you are not providing the nourishment. So if you maintain the balance, and then in that state meditation becomes difficult, the inner life becomes difficult. If you continue the two, you are rich in the outer world also, and at the same time rich in the inner world also. That creates a balance. You create beautiful dishes, and having eaten that, Buddha ate 49 pieces, different meals, and then he sat in meditation. Then he thought that after eating there, his need is satiated and he can meditate now. If without that you continue to, you will be thinking now it is, I'm hungry, I have to go and eat something. And then when you have eaten enough, when you had fulfilled your sex life, the monetary aspects, then it is easier. Your mind will not move towards that at all. And then you can concentrate and focus. So the West is turning to the East, East is turning to the West. Number of students from the East is going to the West to excel in technology and everything. So this is what it is happening. And if the Western generation turns absolutely towards the inner, then who is going to work for technology? So who is going to work in the industry? And who is going to work for the civilization that the West has achieved? It takes centuries and centuries to achieve something. You can lose it in one generation. So you see the amount of the people from the East is working in the West in technology, science and everything. And how many people from the West are working in the temples and all those. They renounce everything. The one of the family member of Henry Ford, I don't know which generation is that, he donated a large sum for the development of the Hare Krishna temple, ISKCON temple in Calcutta. So create a balance between the inner and outer life. Life will be more meaningful, life will be more fulfilled. So enough for now. Until we meet again, take care and do have a pleasant day.